chance to, this is our chance to mess things up a bit and sort of get dirty and messy and just see what happens as we try to hold a large public meeting on this platform. The second thing that we wanted to do, which we thought would actually be of some substantive use, is to allow the public to ask us questions. And we have all of our department heads here, or most of our department heads here in the room today. And we're happy to answer questions about what we're doing with response to the COVID-19 event and where we think we are going to be in the future, and just generally what's going on in town hall and what's going on in town with regard to the COVID-19 response. So with that, I'm going to actually just run through our staff here in town hall so everybody from the public knows who's on the call. I'm Rob Zarnetsky, I'm the town manager. And one thing that I'm going to remind our staff as we do this, a large number of our participants today are not on video. So when you speak, please remember to use your name and let folks know who you are before you speak. And I think that'll keep the folks on the phone sort of clued into who and what department they represent as we go through this. So I'm going to go through the Brady Bunch boxes and on my screen, and I'm going to start with Kayla Gray, our Director of Planning. Kayla, want to introduce yourself and tell folks what your role is and where you are?
Sure. So welcome everybody. Thanks for being here in this odd virtual environment. We're all getting a little bit more used to them, I think, in our lives, especially if you're someone who goes to meetings regularly. But I've been sitting on a few of these and I will say they're still awkward and a little uncomfortable. That'll pass in time. We'll all get used to this new system. So I am the Director of the Planning Department. Right now, we are working to keep the applications we've had in the pipeline for review moving forward. Aside from that, we've been working a fair amount on trying to figure out how we start moving to digital public hearings on this platform for, say, our planning projects that are slated for review at the end of the month. So we're all here together today. We'll actually next Tuesday hopefully be running a mock session with our planning board as well. People are welcome to attend as well. You'll see that agenda come up in the next day or two if you're someone who looks at the website or the Secretary of State for planning agendas. But that is sort of where we are. We are a department that is not largely changing our operations and not largely working in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, but more figuring out how we keep business going in the meantime.
You are still accepting applications?
Yes, we are absolutely still accepting applications. And if you're curious to see a site plan for an application that has come in this strange time, always do reach out to us by email or phone at the planning department, and we're happy to set appointments or provide digital site plans to anybody who's curious about an application that's going on in your neighborhood, or if you've got one you want to put forward yourself.
And next on my screen anyway is Amy Reiner. Amy's the Director of Administrative Services. I'll let you explain to folks what you're doing and how busy you've been lately.
Good afternoon, everyone. Amy Reiner. I have been trying to help manage the communication, both internal and external, about all things COVID related. The town has been managing our Facebook page pretty actively, pushing out information, as well as managing our COVID-19 page on our website. Again, both of those are very active with information and updates daily, if not more frequently. Working with all of the department and the division heads, and I want to give a shout out to all of you right now. You've been amazing through all of this. Really trying to keep our employees working, engaged in a very different environment than we're all used to, along with trying to implement new processes and really help promote the health and safety of our employees while they're at work, those that do have to continue to come to work, along with those who may find themselves working remotely. And we've been working with our employees to help them understand the new FFCRA benefits, and again, all of the regular workings that we have to do on a daily basis.
Thank you. Susan Flynn, town clerk. What's going on in the clerk's office?
Colleen, you muted me.
No,
There I
you're
am.
unmuted now. Go for it.
Thank you. Besides trying to keep up with all of this different virtual meeting stuff that we are trying to do to provide openness to the public about our meetings and the functions of our town council right now, we are rotating staff in our office, 2 in the office each day, 2 working remotely, so that we can continue to provide the services that must be done in this office for various reasons. We are working with the State Board of Elections and Secretary of State to manage this presidential preference primary, which has been pushed back to June 2nd. By the end of this week, we were just told today that the Secretary of State's office will begin mailing out absentee ballots to all registered voters in the state who have not yet filed for an absentee ballot application. And they are strongly urging people to file by absentee ballots for this election, because we don't know what condition we're going to be in on June 2nd when we're supposed to actually be having at least one polling location open.
You're busy, no doubt about it. Laura Clark is our Director of Libraries. Laurel, what's going on in the libraries?
Well, hello, everybody. We are working very hard to push out some of our virtual services, our ebooks, our downloadable materials for the folks that obviously can't get into the library. We have closed both our branches effective yesterday, and we are still keeping Peacedale, the lovely Peacedale behind me, manned so we can answer the phones and direct anybody the best way that we can. Be on the lookout for our stay-at-home edition of our newsletter that will explain some of the services and the best way to get in touch with us. And we're just looking forward to when we can get back to somewhat normal business. So that's what we're up to.
So before we leave this top row, I'm going to jump to a name I don't see on my screen, but is Zach Saul, our finance director, with us here? Zach?
Zach is here.
Okay.
Let's see. And he should be able to speak.
Zach, are you with us? All right.
A minute, I just did one other thing for him. Let's see if that helps. Zach, are you there?
I've got audio.
Okay. We're gonna let Zach figure out his end, and we're gonna move on. Is Jean Bouchard, tax assessor here? All right. We're going to jump down and talk to...
I am here.
Hi, Gene. How are you?
Good.
Good. So what's going on in your office?
We are continuing the work that the assessor offices does this time of year, trying to complete building permits, processing the tax roll, which includes the download from the state for pricing all the motor vehicles that are registered in the town of South Kingstown. We are processing tangible accounts for businesses, which is personal business property. We are receiving exemption forms, which are also available online for people to download and complete. We receive them through the inbox outside the town hall, and we check that every couple of days to make sure we're processing all of our exemptions. And things are moving along fairly well so far. I'm knocking on wood when I say that, but we are processing everything in a pretty smooth manner so far.
Great. And you're one of the few departments that's 100% remote at this point, so.
We are 100% remote. We keep in contact all day long, going back and forth. It's like being on a party line.
It's what you got to do. Thanks, Gene. I'm going to jump. Sue DeMasi is Director of the Senior Services and the Senior Center. Sue, are you?
I think I'm here. Can you
There
hear
you
me?
go. You are here.
So we are very, very busy. We have a couple people working remotely, senior center and the adult daycare. We are distributing 156 meals on average, Monday through Friday, to seniors in South Kingstown and Narragansett. Our bus driver is delivering those, and Narragansett is picking theirs up and bringing them to their participants. So far, that's keeping us very, very busy, as are all the phone calls of concerns, questions, people needing referrals for groceries, things like that. But so far, so good.
Good. And really, it's been extraordinary work. I mean, you guys have been moving so many meals. It's incredible. Just incredible.
Yeah, it's very much appreciated. We have gotten unbelievable amounts of phone calls and letters. People are being very generous, although it's a suggested donation. People are so happy to have this service that they're being quite generous also. So it's good all around.
Great. I'm going to jump to Terry Murphy, the Director of Leisure Services.
Hi, everyone. Yep, Terry Murphy. I oversee Parks and Recreation and Senior Services. Before I jump into Parks and Recreation, I would also like to add that onto what Sue said, in addition to her staff overseeing prepared meal distribution on a daily basis, she's also got staff that is involved with outreach to the Rhode Island Department of Health special needs registry for the town for anyone over the age of 60. So in addition to what they're doing with meals, they are also providing outreach on a weekly basis to the folks on that list, so that we're keeping in touch with the most isolated seniors in the community. In terms of Parks and Recreation, we are, as most of you probably already are aware through the multiple press releases that have been pushed out, we're severely restricting what's available in the parks. The parks remain open, but at this time we have incrementally reduced what's available within the parks. The playgrounds are shut down, the basketball rims are off the courts. We're really trying to make sure people are adhering to the CDC guidelines in terms of no larger than groups of 5. Unfortunately, we've had to close most of the athletic, actually all of the athletic amenities, including athletic fields, basketball and tennis courts, skate park. The dog park is closed. We are really down to about trail use and pretty much being able to walk in any green space that we have. We do not want to have to close parks, and we don't think it's a good idea in terms of allowing people to be able to access the parks. We have limited parking so that we can somewhat restrict the numbers, but overall, within the past week, we've seen mostly responsible use of the parks. We have implemented park monitors on site at the larger community parks to observe and prompt people when necessary to break up groups or be on their way and really adhere to the social distancing guidelines. In terms of programming, our facilities, the Guild and the Rec Center, as well as Stepping Stone School, are closed to the public. However, our recreation staff is working hard to provide remote recreational opportunities. We have some independent contractors running virtual music lessons. We have lots going out on our Facebook page for families to do in the house and also locally or in the parks, always adhering to the CDC guidelines. So we're kind of the glasses half full attitude in terms of what lies ahead for the summer. So we are planning you know, with the hopes of being able to have some type of summer camp program. And we'll be doing some parallel programming, all in preparation for what may or may not be down the line. But we anticipate, or we hope that we will have future programs come this summer.
Thank you. I'm going to ask John Schock to tell us what's been going on at the Department of Public Services.
Good afternoon. Pretty much status quo. Our operations remain unchanged. For water, wastewater, and highway divisions, they're fully staffed, doing what they need to do on a daily basis. I did want to note that our engineering division, the offices are closed. We ask that applicants make their applications either by mail with payment or electronically. We do have a drop box that was installed outside the building for any checks or payments that need to be made. But essentially we are closed to walk-in traffic. We are providing inspection services for land development projects and for property owners. All that we ask is that we try to provide us as much lead time as possible to make sure we have staff in to do those inspections. Lastly, we had to unfortunately shut down the bulky waste and yard waste for residential users at the transfer station for safety reasons. We are in the process of trying to create some type of appointment system. If we're successful with that, where people can make an appointment online, bring bulky waste loads. Once that's done, we'll have a notice on the website that that's up and running. But we're actively trying to solve that problem in the near term. Other than that, it's daily operations as usual for our department.
John, just one note on that. I did have a chance to talk to Lori. Lori actually points out that our website has got the ability to do some scheduling. So we are pretty optimistic that we'll be able to take care of this in the next day or two.
Okay.
All right. I see Chief Jaber, Police Chief Joseph Jaber. Joe, can you unmute yourself and tell us what's going on at the police department?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon, everyone. Things here, I'm happy to report that no one here is infected. Everyone seems to be healthy. We're up to full staff, which is great. We have about 200 people in the South area left to notify, and they're working on that as we speak. That should be winding down by Friday.
And those notifications are notifications of the need to quarantine if you've come in from out of state?
Correct. And so I was trying to think, we're checking, we have a few calls on groups of people, and we also have a few calls on stores, and where the patrols are constantly running to those different places, and people are very cooperative. The stores have been great. I mean, sometimes it gets ahead of them a little bit. We go over there and speak with them, and things get straightened out without any trouble at all. So I hate to say status quo, because we have such a variety and different types of calls that come in, things we've never experienced before. There was a recent release by the Attorney General on the eviction statute and how that's playing into police departments as opposed to being civil jurisdiction. So things are changing so quickly. We're trying to adjust to the different calls we're getting, but all in all, people have been great, and our officers have been great. So things are running along smoothly.
Great. You guys really have been amazing. I mean, it is a lot of new, you're right. I mean, they're not earth-shattering changes, but there's a lot of little changes and a lot more sort of running around, and somebody described it as whack-a-mole. And you guys have been great. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to jump to Wayne Pimentel. Wayne, are you there? Wayne is our building official. We got Wayne? I think it's a mute, unmute problem there.
Can you hear me?
We've got you.
All right. This is Wayne Pimentel, the building official for the town of South Kingstown. We are still performing inspections. With the exception of homes that are occupied, we have some protocols set up to do those. Still accepting permits online, as well as payments, which can also be dropped off at Town Hall. Still performing, it's still accepting zoning applications. We have 2 zoning meetings set up, virtual meetings set up for the end of this month, April 22nd and April 29th. All of those applications are also viewable on our webpage on the town's website as hyperlinks where you can actually click on them and view all of the applications, plans, and so forth associated with all the zoning applications. Other than that, we are somewhat of a limited staff. Some of the inspectors are working from home on their computers to process permits and inspections, but we are still providing the same level of service that we had prior to this. And that's it.
That's great. It's outstanding. Really, one of the most sort of innovative responses to this whole incident has been Wayne and the inspectors figuring out how to use remote video technology to deal with inspections in places that are occupied. In places where it's new construction and nobody's there, it's easy to go out and physically inspect the building. But if it is an occupied home, we're using photographs and video technology to see the work that was done. And if additional inspection is necessary, they make the determination. But quite often, the video shows the inspector what's necessary to be seen, and the approvals can be given remotely, which is really quite amazing. I am gonna come back and see if we can get Zach. Zach, are you with us yet? Again, I think it's that mute unmute thing.
I am here.
All right.
So we are operational in the finance department. Staff is working majority remotely and coming in on an as needed basis on a schedule to keep everyone separated. So all of our business is being done, and the only thing we have changed is obviously we're taking phone calls, and we are trying to restrict any payments of cash. We prefer either payments by check or credit card can be done over the phone, and checks can be either mailed or in the drop box outside of town hall.
And one of the things that I've received over the course of the week is was an advertisement for a tax sale. What was the date scheduled for that sale? Do you recall?
I believe that sale is the 27th.
Right. So I
wait and see.
Folks the opportunity to give us a call if they have any concerns about that sale. By all means, give my office a call and we can talk through how to resolve the issues. With that, I guess Craig Stanley, is Director Stanley on the call? Craig is our Director of Emergency Medical Services. And you, Craig, and your staff have been incredibly busy.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Craig Stanley, I'm the Director of Emergency Medical Services. Yes, we are open and fully staffed. We've been fairly busy. We've seen an increase in our call volume related to COVID-19. And in probably the past week through the weekend, we've seen an increase in that. We're prepared. We were proactive a couple of weeks ago by putting up a COVID truck just to transport patients that we suspect may have some of the symptoms. And the way the system works is based on the dispatch information. We will screen the call. We'll arrive on the scene. The supervisor will ask questions, interview the patient. And if we determine that the patient may fit the criteria, we will call the COVID truck to come and transport the patient to the hospital. That does two things. One, it isolates the patient, it reduces any chances of infection to the other employees, it reduces our amount of PPE that we're using. So as everyone has seen in the news, PPE is a very hot commodity. We're in very good shape. We've prepared well for it. Kind of saw this coming in the fall and tried to prepare for this I didn't anticipate this happening, but we always have to be prepared. Our folks are doing well. They're working very hard, and we appreciate the support from the community. It has been tremendous. People have brought food, people have brought masks that they have from businesses, and really the spirit, people have rose to the occasion. It's been very inspirational.
Great. So I'm going to, in just a minute, open the floor up to questions from the audience, from the public here. We're new to this technology, so bear with us as we try to figure out how to deal with hands as they are raised and that sort of thing. But before I do that, I do just want to say, I want to echo what everyone said and really what Director Stanley has just said. This has been phenomenal. I mean, this is an incredible community. People have been amazing. This is an incredible workforce. The town hall and town department personnel have just been incredibly responsive, incredibly flexible, incredibly creative, and very effective. I mean, we have not missed a beat here. There are a couple of things. I mean, the transfer station thing was a bit of a hiccup, but it really was just because we had an overwhelming number of new customers. When everybody went home, they cleaned out their basement and their garage, and the traffic started backing up. It really wasn't a challenge with trying to deal with remote work or anything like that. It was just a surge in the number of customers coming at that station. Aside from that, though, I mean, the work of the town has continued without missing a beat. And everybody who works in any of the departments, all of the departments, deserves an awful lot of credit for just being that professional and being that good, being that creative, being that capable. One thing that we have not talked about, and I know folks are very interested in, is where we are with regard to the budget. I will say that I have prepared a memo that went out to the town council last week outlining suggestions on how we can proceed. The council will have an opportunity to talk about that on the 13th, and I'm sure that we will have an opportunity to talk about that again on the 15th before the first budget hearing. I will let the public know that my recommendation has been that we try to stick to our schedule as much as possible because I think that the benefits of sticking to the schedule are greater than the detriments. There are lots of ways for us to be flexible. We don't need to be flexible entirely by schedule. We can do a lot of things with the budget to make sure that what we're doing through the budget process is beneficial to the community and not disruptive to the community. I think the council has a handle on that, and we'll see where that conversation goes on Monday the 13th. But at this point, we're not anticipating any radical changes. We're not anticipating, postponing the budget until September or anything like that. There's not a lot of benefit to doing that because we would have to continue with a current levy, even if we were pushing off the budget to the next fiscal year's budget to a later date. So I'm happy to answer some questions about that. Know that most of those policies decisions are the council's, and that conversation will happen on the 13th. And with that, let's figure out if we can figure out how to do raised hands and questions from the audience. I see a raised hand.
Hi, gang. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, it's Jocelyn Leska from Matunic. I want to congratulate each and every one of you. Very seriously, I don't have a great fondness for government, state or local. And welcome to my world. This is how I live and work every single day and have for 10 years. I'm very proud of you all. You've done a really nice job. That being said, just a couple of minor housekeeping details. When I logged on, maybe 45 seconds into it, I lost my mute, raise my hand, and Q&A bar. So I had to log off. I have Zoom anyways, so because I work this way, I had to log off and log back on, and it popped right back up again. If possible, we do it for work. If you could have a directions panel reminding people that at the bottom of their screen, they should have the mute option, raise hand, and Q&A section. And then, of course, that would disappear after a certain number of seconds. That's something you can put into an opening screen. It would be helpful to do that. You also might like to post the Zoom app on the Town of South Kingstown website so people can download it ahead of time and be ready. But again, this is great. Congratulations. I'll be at the budget hearings. So, and nice job, everybody. Congratulations. And with that, farewell, stay safe. I'm at the Department of Health every day, and we're still a hot mess, folks. So everybody needs to stay isolated, stay safe, wash your hands, do all the things we're being told to do by Governor Raimondo, who is doing a great job. So take care, everybody.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments from the audience?
Hi, Jamie Murdoch. I really liked having this sort of roundtable of report outs from town staff and town managers, and might be something you could do quarterly or once a month going forward. Just 3, 4, or 5 sentences is just sort of giving faces to town government. I know it doesn't convey a whole lot, but it's not, it's more than what the newspapers would choose to publish. So that was my thought. I thought this was pretty cool. I would love to be able to see the other attendees, I don't think you see my video, right? You can only hear me?
We're not seeing your video, that's correct.
Because my camera controls are missing. That was the only thought, is being able to see the rest of the public as if I was sitting in the chambers and just sort of looking behind me to see who's sitting around. And I was unable to figure out if Zoom could do that or not. It wasn't in their help screens. So
this is actually a question that we've been wrestling with. We've been reading the articles like everybody else has about Zoom bombing, and the camera being active is one of the ways that folks have been disruptive to these electronic meetings. I'd love to hear from folks about whether we're more concerned about Zoom bombing or more concerned about not seeing our neighbors.
Yeah, it's because you have to publish links and you don't require passwords, and these links will be on a website. You're certainly at risk of that. The articles say to not enable virtual backgrounds for attendees, to not enable screen sharing, to keep microphones muted unless they're specifically unmuted. But still, if there's an open camera, there's still an opportunity for something. And I would say I'd rather have 2 or 3 seconds of that kind of exposure before the meeting producer cut that person off than this, because this seems so. I can't tell if there's 3 other people on, or if there's a room full, or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. There's a risk that something could be seen, but at least you could, virtual backgrounds turned off, microphones turned off, inability to share makes it a bit harder. And maybe if it just starts happening a lot, you change.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. Thank you. We have a room full. I mean, we have 55 participants on this call right now. So it's a pretty big room.
Hi, Kate Massananti. I have a comment to make, but I just want to address what the gentleman just said about Zoom bombing. Having been in a meeting that was Zoom bombed, I would absolutely say don't risk it. It was 5 seconds, it was 10 seconds, and it was absolutely the words that you heard, the images that were forced onto the majority of people, it was absolutely unacceptable for even 5 seconds. If you get if there's a possibility to get a list maybe of names or something, I get that, but I wouldn't open any sort of window of opportunity for images and unwanted dialogue to come flowing through, because it was not a good situation. That said, I kind of want to follow up what Jocelyn said. I want to take a minute to thank you all who've been thrust into this time that we absolutely had no precedence for. I think the community at large, the people that I associate with have all been following the rules, but I was very disturbed by the amount of people who were coming into our community, not necessarily following the rules for a few weeks. It was very unnerving having elderly parents, having immunocompromised friends, and trying to make sure we contain things as best as we can. So I know some decisions you guys had to make were very difficult, but they had to be made, and they were made in the best interest of all in order to get the situation kind of as contained as we possibly can, considering we don't really know a lot about what we're looking at for our future. I also want to thank you for doing this little mock meeting, because we're gonna at the school committee, we're gonna be faced with doing it ourselves next week. So it's nice to see how it could possibly play out. So I just want to thank you for all of that, and just appreciate what you guys are doing. I know you're working double time, and that's about it. So thank you.
Kate, before you go, will the school board or school committee also be using Zoom?
That is my understanding. I think we will know obviously come Tuesday. That's when our meeting is scheduled. I'm still waiting to hear back from Mrs. Savastano. I'm supposed to be, we're supposed to be doing some one-on-one with her prior to the meeting, just so that we can kind of make sure we know what we're doing before going into it. So as far as I know, Zoom was going to be what was going to be utilized. But again, that was before the concept of Zoom bombing and the actual, I experienced it just the other day with a SK Wellness meeting. And so it's not like this was a work-related meeting. This was a South Kingstown community-based activity. So I don't know if they've made any adjustments just yet as far as the technology we'll use.
And you guys have got multiple platforms that you could use. You will have to join the town council on the 15th and 16th on Zoom, though.
I actually prefer, as long as it's like in this environment right now, I feel very safe and secure. And so as long as it's nice and tight like this, I prefer Zoom to any of the other pieces of technology I've used. So hopefully we can keep it nice and easy.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's Jocelyn again. So sorry. I'm hoping I'm not jumping in front of anyone. Colleen, when I raise my hand, can you see that it's me?
Hi, so I can, and actually I was just curious because I have a few co-hosts with me today, so we can learn this together, but I was curious if someone else unmuted you because I did not. So you unmuted yourself.
Well, okay, so I do this, so I may have that ability.
No, I think on our back end, Jocelyn, I think we'll have to look at it so that our attendees can raise their hand, and then a host, someone can unmute you.
Okay, so let me tell you how we're doing it at the health department for the primary care providers line. The last meeting I was on was Wednesday, and there were 700 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a tracker. When the hands go up, there's one person dedicated to literally taking that name, which is why I asked you. I'm going to put it up right now. If you see my name, then you would write it in chronological order to call on the people who desire to speak. And that may be helpful. to you in terms of controlling public dialogue, not that we want to control it, but to organize it so that everyone has an opportunity to speak and then can come and can circle back like now without feeling like, oh my God, am I jumping in front of someone? Having one dedicated person just tracking there it goes. And then maybe the question gets answered. And so quick, you want to take your hand down.
Right.
The other thing that I would tell you for both work, and I have people that work for me all over the world, and for the Department of Health, no way are we putting on individual videos. There's so hacking right now and Zoom bombing right now is absolutely rampant. And while I, as much as Jamie, want to say protect the public's right to fully participate and be a full integrated part of a meeting, because that's the right that we're all seeking, I think these are unprecedented times. And as long as you're recognizing people by the hand, I know there was some discussion of phone numbers. I certainly don't want my phone number out there. If you can track people chronologically by raising their hands, call on them in order, and let them circle back if they have more to say, because this is nerve-wracking for people. I think those, from the meetings that I'm engaged in every single day for work reasons, that's how we're managing it. So I would encourage you not, as much as I wish you could, I don't think the technology is not quite there yet to protect this webcast from an outsider coming into Zoom bomb or steal private information from participants. And I know the Department of Health feels that we don't even get to see this. Like, I never see Jim McDonald at all. I only hear his voice. And I don't ever see Nicole either. I just hear her voice. And because I know them so well, I recognize them. And they always say their name, if that's helpful at all. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No, thank you very much.
Jocelyn, just so you know, this is Susan Flynn.
Yes, ma'am.
When you raise your hand, you float to the top of the attendees list.
Fabulous. Oh, wait. Does that mean I float in front of other people who have raised their hand?
No, so what actually happened when I noticed that two of you both had raised your hands and you had already spoken, Jocelyn, I was going to unmute the person before you, which happened to be Kate, and she had just jumped in first. So we'll, on our back end, have to do a couple of things, right? Of making sure that the hosts are the folks that unmute the attendees so that you can speak if you want. And that's a good point about the tracker, Rob.
And if that tracker is also monitoring Q&A,
Yeah.
if you were to happen to say, miss me, and I'm sitting at home screaming, wait, you didn't get me, then it can be logged in under Q&A. Hey,
Right.
Jocelyn wants to speak here,
Right.
because I'm pretty known for letting it be known that I need to speak now. So I think again, we're back to that initial discussion of mine of getting some kind of instruction sheet when people first log on. You can use Q&A, you can raise your hands. We will unmute you in the order that you raise your hands. Be patient. If you don't see those tools, you need to log off and log back on again. Something like that, so people know. Yeah, one more thing, and I swear to God, I'll get off. One of the problems with so many videos running is bandwidth. So if you have a lot of videos running, and we hope the children are all online doing their schoolwork and teachers are online and so forth and so on, you may have some buffering issues. And I have to say, it's lovely to be able to hear you all. Okay?
Thank you.
A thought about that, and I'd like to hear anybody's comments on it. Based on those suggestions we've heard from folks who've been using video platforms, it sounds to me like having the panelists visible, having the council members, the school committee members at a public hearing on the budget is important, but not necessarily anyone else. Is that, am I reading that feedback correctly?
So Rob, we could, if you wanted to, do a poll.
Let's try it.
If you want us to try it right now.
Yeah, let's try it. What the heck?
So, and you can actually, from what I was reading, I think pre-populate your poll, so get it set in advance, and that is not what I wanted to do.
That's not what we got.
So, let's see. So maybe that's something that we can
Yeah, it sounds like
for
it's
tomorrow night with the work session with the council,
good.
and get something set up if you want to do that.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from members of the audience? Well, with that, then I think we'll close this meeting. I want to thank everybody for coming and helping us try to break the technology. We didn't completely succeed at breaking it, which is good news, I suppose. Please know, everybody who lives and works here in South Kingstown, we are completely operational. If you have any questions or concerns about any function of town government, by all means, feel free to give us a call or send an email to the relevant department or to my office, and we will make sure to get back to you as quickly as we can. Everybody stay safe, stay 6 feet away from each other.
Rob, could I just interrupt you? I'm sorry, but I just noticed.
Oh, that was going to be such a great wrap up, but okay.
Well, someone asked a question, and let's see. Someone asked a question about, let's see here. They apologized for coming late to the meeting. They just jumped on, and they were asking about addressing the closing of the bulky waste scale, which you talked about at the beginning of the meeting. So
I'll just recap the answer to that one. The bulky waste facility was closed last Friday, and it was closed because we were really just seeing a rush of people to the facility. This week, we're working to come up with a reservation system so that we can control the traffic into the facility, and we're hoping that we'll have a reservation system up and running hopefully by the weekend, and we will not have a closed bulky waste program. The third-party vendor who operates the facility was frankly just overwhelmed 2 weekends ago, and at this point, I think we've got a solution that will get us over that problem, and we'll be able to operate the facility as close to the way that it is normally run as possible. It is worth noting that the bulky waste facility has only been closed for residential drop-offs. Commercial drop-offs have maintained because that's a much more routinized. It wasn't subject to the surge. Businesses just sort of, the flow of the business into the facility is pretty consistent. John, is there anything you'd like to add?
The only thing I wanted to add was, just for give people order of magnitude, we typically get about 30 commercial private rescue hauler loads. That Saturday the last Saturday, 2 weeks ago, we had over 300 residential transactions. So that was the impetus for closing the residential for bulky at this point. Again, as the manager indicated, we're trying to set up an appointment system where people can put their license plates on time and have a prescribed time so we can, better regulate residential users coming into the facility. But we can't continue with 300 residential transactions in a given day. So that's the catalyst for it, and we're trying to resolve it as quickly as we can.
We also recognize that people are at home and they have the time and they want to clean out the basement and they want to clean out the attic and they want to clean out the garage. We get it, and we want to facilitate, people being able to do that kind of work at home. It's just that we were overwhelmed. The vendor just wasn't able to safely engage in those transactions. 300 people coming to the one window at the scale house was just putting their staff in jeopardy. All right. Well, with that, we will wrap it up. And again, everybody just stay safe, and thank you for being part of an amazing community that has made it possible for us to keep a government going under the weirdest of circumstances. Thanks.